Hello everybody and welcome to the second video of this mini-series, Players to Watch in the LEC's 2020 Spring Split. Just to make sure we are still on the same page, remember that I'm not necessarily talking about the best players in the league or team. I'm talking about a certain aspect of the team that will be crucial for the team's performance in the split to come. I still don't understand it! Anyway, as you have probably guessed, this video will focus on Fnatic's new jungler, Selfmade. To understand how will this roster change affect Fnatic, we will start by comparing Selfmade to Broxah. From Fnatic's voice comms videos and leaks of people that are involved in the scene like casters, analysts or coaches, we know that Broxah wasn't leading Fnatic's comms in the early games. He played according to the game plan and mostly his laners' calls. Famously, there was that game he played versus G2 where he sat in the top lane for Bwipo for like 45 seconds and fell disgustingly behind Jankos. Some might say the problem was Bwipo calling him, but a jungler should know when to refuse those kind of calls. In my opinion, the jungler, together with the mid laner of course, should dictate the pace and the plays in the early game according to the jungler's optimal paths and opportunities and the mid lane wave situation. Broxah isn't a bad jungler by any means, but he is not that good in pathing effectively to his laners in times they need help to fix a bad lane state. For example, to fix a bad freeze or push a wave all the way to the tower. These charges could be directed to the laners and their lack of communication on the matter, but in my opinion it's mostly the jungler's responsibility. Selfmade is a completely different player. This guy won't shut up in the early game in a good way. He communicates all the time, dictates the early game pacing, and generally knows what he wants to do in a game. They are both mechanically skilled players, but I also think Selfmade's champion pool is larger. Broxah's Lee Sin and Gragas are really good, his Elise is fine, but beyond that he is mediocre. For example, famously at the LEC finals, the man couldn't play a good Sylas to save his life, but Fnatic decided to pick it anyway to deny it from Jankos. We could see he was uncomfortable on this champion the entire game, even though he was already a meta jungler for a few patches. Last season, Selfmade was good on almost every jungler that was meta. His Gragas was amazing, his Sejuani is really good, his Lee Sin is good, his Rexa is great. The three junglers he didn't really play effectively are Karthus, Sylas and Olaf. As it looks now, Olaf is the only one of them he needs to add to his arsenal for the upcoming split. Lastly, before we sum up this section, Selfmade played the last season with some heavy training weights. Now, he has really good players in all the roles, and it will be interesting to see how will he look with them. To sum up, I think Selfmade is the better player of the two. Raw skill wise, it's a very good pick for Fnatic. Now let's talk synergy. A completely different beast is coming to Fnatic. As we already discussed, this guy is very vocal in the early game and generally dictates it as he likes. He was like that in Mad Lions in EU Masters and in SK. The Fnatic players might not accept this kind of jungler. We know Bwipo is a very vocal top laner that demands a lot of help in the early game. If he doesn't get that help, he tends to int. The first half of Fnatic's 2019 summer split shows it pretty clearly. From the completely silent player that followed his jungler everywhere, Nemesis had to become a very vocal mid laner with Broxah, as we can hear in the Fnatic voice comms videos, and is also accustomed to lead his jungler in the early game.
Yes, we are.
I think it's too much, guys.
No. Trust me, it's not too much.
Just
go.
She ulted. 2 seconds, keep chasing. 2 seconds. No. Look, they can't play.
Give me.
Another one.
This is a completely different Nemesis than the one that played with Selfmade in Mad Lions. The bot lane is also a worrying part, but for a different reason. Reckless and Healy have shown that they can play weak side. For Fnatic to function as a team though, they need to unleash Healy from the bot lane. When they play weak side, Reckless will usually play Ezreal or Karma and solo wave clear the bot lane while Hylissang roams mid and invades with the jungler. If Fnatic will play towards the top side and the other team will lock Healy down in the bot lane, we might see Fnatic collapsing like they did in the beginning of 2019 spring. Lastly, it will be really interesting to see how this team will get out of a slump. In a long season there will be difficult times, and we already know that last year there were internal problems in Fnatic when things didn't go right. With another vocal player and without the best babysitter in the scene, A slump might force Fnatic to make a roster change just to keep everybody calm. Funnily enough, I think that Soaz might be the perfect top laner for them right now. If the atmosphere is right, one of the players becomes a moral leader, and the synergy issues are ironed, we will see a great team that will probably be a top 2 team in the LEC and even a world contender. The main problem with this team, in my opinion, is that if something goes wrong, the rest might collapse. These players are so talented that at worst I think this team will finish 4th to 5th, but the peak is very high. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments below, I'll answer everything I see. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that like button and send it to your friends. The next video in this mini-series will be about the rogue lineup and the development they need to show us for them to become a top team.